about time. All right. So, thank you very much, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the 10th installment of Project Adopt Live's Home Chat series, brought to you by Hope for Animals in collaboration with friends from the arts and media industries. And that includes me. My name is Eleanor. In addition to being, a theatre practitioner, I'm also doing a little bit of television. You might have seen me on Kin, that sort of thing. But the main point is today we're here for Project Adopt Live and to do something to help out all the amazing animals in Singapore. So as we end the second week of phase 1 of the country's reopening, you're probably watching us right now from the safety and comfort of your homes, but please don't forget that there are many companion animals out there who have yet to find a forever home, and dozens of dedicated individuals caring for these animals in shelters and foster homes all over the country. So right now, they are in urgent need of your help, especially because most fundraising events and adoption drives have been suspended. Many of these people are facing significant financial difficulties, struggling with the cost of rent, providing for the daily needs of the animals in their care, such as food, medication, health supplements, toys, and so on. So because of this, we at Hope for Animals are currently working really hard to raise funds for our animal welfare group partners. So we are absolutely privileged to have some wonderful, generous sponsors on board who are helping out with this. So first up, we have our campaign sponsor, and that is none other than Pet Lovers Center, which has pledged $5,000 worth of pet food to Project Adopt Live. This food will help our animal welfare group partners care for their charges and is also part of the adoption starter kits, which will be given free of charge to new owners of animals that are adopted through this project. Pet Lover Center has the widest range and the freshest stock of products to help pet owners pamper their animal companions, and also provides essential services such as pet grooming and vet consultation. So please visit one of their 70 stores island-wide or check out their online shop right now. We would also like to thank the Pets Couture, our other campaign sponsor, which has been donating 20% of the proceeds from the sales from their fortnightly Facebook Live videos, which run every other Saturday at 2 p.m. These donations have been of great help to the animal rescue groups, which have been featured on all of our adoption episodes. So the Pets Couture has been crafting original designs since 2010. Happy pets, happy life. Now, our very own Hope for Animals artist team is also on board, and they are currently offering a range of beautiful bark ornaments, which you can have personalized with a hand-drawn portrait of your pets for just $45. Now, out of these $45, $24.50 will be donated to the shelters, $10 will be a small token fee to our artists, and the remaining will cover things like courier fees and other costs. Please don't miss this chance to score yourself a beautiful, unique keepsake. If you see the pictures of these ornaments, they are just absolutely beautiful, and each one is unique and it's specially created just for you, so don't miss out. Now we've got a brand new offer. This is something absolutely new. Now, you've heard of yoga with cats or even goats in other countries, but have you heard about bachata with dogs? Because this week we welcome N Motion Dance School to our PAL family as Gary, dance master extraordinaire, accompanied by Scarlett, his gorgeous golden retriever, will be conducting a bachata class via Zoom next Saturday on the 20th of June at 8:30 p.m. Now, all the proceeds will be going to Project Adopt Live. This class is designed for absolutely anyone, including beginners with no dance background at all. And it's going to help you show off some smooth moves at the club after the lockdown ends, of course. But for now, please dance up a storm in the comfort of your own home. And all you have to do is to scan the QR code below to register for Gary and Scarlett's charity bachata class. So to all of our amazing sponsors, we thank you so much. We couldn't be more grateful for your generosity. And thank you for helping us help more animals in need. So on to our guests for today. Now, we've got 3 amazing, wonderful people. Not only are they familiar faces on screen, and also in our music industry, they're also great lovers of animals, and they're all involved in adoption and rescue, and they're here to basically speak out for those who have no voice. So our first guest You may have caught him on the Netflix docuseries Singapore Social, or seen him on local drama series such as Mata Mata. I was on that too, but just one episode. Polo Boys and Red Thread, just to name a few. So aside from acting, he is also, deep breath, MC, live show host, TV presenter, model, eco-warrior, and animal champion. So he is none other than the very handsome, very charming Paul Foster. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, Eleanor. Wow, what a lovely introduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, no, it's my pleasure. When you guys gave me a call and asked me to be a part of this, it was, an easy request to step up to. So thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Oh, it's our pleasure as well. All right, so just give me a minute and I'm going to get our other guest in, and then we're going to get started with our chat. So our next guest, who's going to be joining us in just a minute, she is a multi-talented, multifaceted artistic phenom, educated in fine arts and inducted into the music industry in Los Angeles. She has since established a career as an international performing artist, experimenting across a variety of art forms and playing at festivals around the world. She also received the National Youth Award in 2018 for her contributions to the arts, and was recently awarded Best Sound at the 2020 Live Theatre Awards for her multi-sensory theatrical production, which I watched. It was amazing. Till the End of the World Will Meet in No Man's Land. I should also mention that I did have the privilege of working with her in one of her many creative incarnations in the chamber opera Purgatory. So please welcome the one and only Inch Chua.
Hi.
Hi, Inch. How are you today?
I'm good. What an introduction as well. Elle, you're killing us. You're killing us.
Oh,
with
come
kindness.
on. Yeah, we love you. We love you guys, and we're so grateful that you're here. So anyway, we've got lots of things to get through today because both of you are, now you've had animals in your life for a really long time. So there are lots of things that we can talk about that I'm sure many of our viewers would relate very strongly to. But first, I'd like to ask Paul, because I understand you've been such a big time advocate for animal welfare for such a long time. You've been supporting rescues, shelters, welfare groups in terms of fundraising and public education campaigns. Can you just share with us how you got started with all of this?
Yeah, the first call to me was from the Animal Lovers League.
Right.
So they reached out. I think about 2000 and I want to say 14, 13. Yeah, right. 13 was, I think it was late 2013. And I had went down to their original shelter at Passaris Farmway, where with a lot of shelters out there at that time, and breeders, unfortunately, which is something I don't agree with for Singapore in particular.
Yes.
And I didn't know anything about the landscape. I didn't know anything about the shelters, excuse me, and the animal welfare groups and how they worked. But as soon as I arrived there and I got taken on the tour and I was, just told everything about what they do and the other groups do, I was blown away.
Right.
At that point, they were past the tipping point. They had over 700 cats and dogs.
Oh, wow.
At the shelter. Yeah. And because they're a no-kill shelter. So they will literally, take care of all these animals until they would pass away naturally.
Right.
And, you got there and you just realized they needed a lot of help. When you're past a tipping point, they're constantly feeding, cleaning, taking dogs for walks, treating injured animals. It's just a non-stop process when you have too many animals in your care. And you could feel it, you could smell it, you could see it, you could feel it, and it was just, I knew at that point I needed to help. And
so in terms of the work you've done, is there maybe one particular memory or one thing that really stands out that just means a lot to you and keeps you going in terms of what you're doing?
So for the Animal Lovers League, they had a pool there that the filter system had broken down.
Oh, wow.
And then when it broken down, it wasn't filtering the water. So it's not like you walk in and see a beautiful pool with clear water. It was green moss fungi
Oh,
pool because
right.
the water wasn't getting clean.
Yes.
The drains were clogged in
Right.
the pool, and then leading out to the sludge to the actual drainage system of the compound as well. So,
Mhm.
I would go there and I would help to take dogs for walks
Right.
and see the animals and create fundraising ideas. But the one of the biggest things we did was there's a group of us that went and helped to actually clean that pool out.
Oh,
So
wow.
that therapeutic pool that was supposed to use for animals that need to use swimming
Yes.
as a
Water
type of
therapy.
for physiotherapy. It smelled bad. It was horrid because it was just sludge. So we were literally taking that sludge out of the pool, the drain system, trying to clean it up. And I mean, it's backbreaking work, but we did it, and it was super fulfilling. So I'll always remember that experience of trying to help do that, and then of course trying to find someone to then donate their time to come and actually, or we raised money to try and fix the filter system.
That's
So
so
that
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
The biggest gift that we give is our time,
yeah, yeah.
and just
Yeah.
being there.
So that's always a memory I always have. I've done it on a few occasions where I did the pool and I did the drains.
Right.
And that led on to even the handover process where we had to move out of the shelter to
Right.
the new shelter where all the groups are at Sungai
Mm.
Tengah, and it was just crazy. It was just
Yeah.
crazy the amount of work we had to do to kind of restore the shelter back to a handover quality. Same
Condition.
thing. Yeah, just the drainage alone was just
Right.
massive because it was all clogged up. So it's just nuts. But
That's amazing.
that's one experience I always have.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that, Paul. Thank you. And over to you, Inch. I mean, animals have been a part of your life for a long, long time, as I remember. What have they meant in terms of your journey, personally, even professionally? What have animals meant to you in your life?
I think like my dog Ricky that I had for 17 years was like a constant in my life. Like,
Mhm.
everything changes in life, like work and all of that stuff. But yeah, like he was just a clear constant throughout the entire time. Generally, even when I was living in Los Angeles, like when I just started out in Los Angeles, like I wasn't really making money yet from music. I was a dog walker, so I
Oh,
had like
wow.
a constant interaction all the time with dogs and cat sitting and all of that stuff. So it was just always really nice to see, like, and especially when you dog walk or and you cat sit, you really get to visit a variety of different people and different kinds of pet owners.
Right.
And you meet so many great stories of rescue stories, and then you also hear the very privileged stories
Yes.
of dogs being bought and stuff like that. So it was like a really, I guess, an interesting foray into how the pet industry as well as the pet, I guess, landscape actually works. And
Mm.
Mhm.
all of that was very, very educational. And I think when I got back to Singapore, it was very important. I started focusing a lot more on supporting organizations that work towards palliative care for animals, because
Right.
I think we forget so much about, especially because my dog was getting old too. So
Right.
I started having a very big soft spot for elderly dogs, because it's just like there is no way they can get by without our help. Especially
Mhm.
our strays and our community cats or dogs, and I guess that there's this huge, I guess, epidemic of people just discarding animals after they turned old, and
Yes.
and and that we're very guilty in Singapore for doing that as well, and just
Yeah.
very clear by like the kind of dogs we meet in shelters and stuff like that. So
Mm.
all of this breaks my heart, especially when I have an old elderly dog at home,
Yes.
and yeah.
That leads us really, really neatly to actually one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because I understand you've had dogs that lived till the age of 17, and then there was another one that was 19. Is that
Yeah.
right? So yes,
Wow.
I really wanted to ask you. I mean, of course, and we do want to visit with some very cute kittens, which I understand are in another room waiting somewhere.
Mhm.
But before we get that, I do want to talk about senior animals, because obviously, and we can't say this enough, adopting a pet is a lifetime commitment. And I feel like that's something that really needs to be reminded over and over again. So could you maybe comment a little bit, Inch, about what it takes to care for a senior animal. What are some of the changes to look out for? Some of the things that you have to adjust in terms of their diet or their other care. Could you share?
Yeah, I think one reasons why my pets have lived quite long is that I have always been quite particular with their diet. Tried to stay away very much from as much like processed food as possible. I mean, from time to time it's okay, but it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
I would say as they get older as well. For example, my dog had a cataract in his eye, and he had a tumor in his paw that we couldn't get out. And I think these things that you got to anticipate as well. If you don't treat certain symptoms early, and then eventually when they get older as well, because of maybe because he's too old, he can't be put under anesthetic if they were to
Right.
do surgery. So then it becomes about how do you adjust and make it as comfortable for them as much as possible.
Mm.
um, and as they get older, there are a variety of things you need to anticipate, that they might have issues going to the bathroom. So it sometimes might not be their fault that they're not peeing at the right places, so to speak. And then
Mhm.
eventually you have to kind of accommodate your house a little bit like that. So on my bed I had a pee pad constantly there for
Oh,
him
wow.
wherever he slept and rest. Because at some point, they might be too uncomfortable and unable to even just get up to go to the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And so to me, there's a lot of things that you have to prepare these various stages. It really is like caring for any kind of family member that is kind of coming to terms with their mortality as well. So
Yeah.
and for my dog, like Ricky, like it was very clear that he just wanted to spend as much time as possible with me. He never left my bedside, like
Oh,
he
wow.
not even to go anywhere. He just wanted to sleep on the bed with me all the time.
Mm.
And because he couldn't, but as they get older as well, they're not as mobile. So as much as he wanted to climb up on surfaces and stuff like that, like in general, don't allow that because his bones are so brittle at this point. So I removed my bed. I started sleeping on the, like, I removed my bed frame so that the bed is on the
Right.
floor,
Oh,
so that he
wow.
can just get onto the bed quite easily. So he wanted to be where he wanted to be without having to move anywhere or cause any injury or any discomfort.
Right.
Um, I mean, it also depends on what condition that your dog might have. Like in terms
Mhm.
of, like, I have another cat that was later on, she had digestive issues, so the diet had to completely change from what you have. And as well as, like, subcut fluids that you might need to actually prepare yourself in an event where you have to learn how to administer a certain kind of medication to your cats or your dogs. So for
Mhm.
the cats, there was subcut fluids that you need to do, and I
Mhm.
was horribly terrified that I might not be able to pull it off.
Mm.
So spending extra time at the vet, asking prudent questions that you need to know
Mm.
about what you can do at home for your cats in terms of learning how to do that instead of outsourcing and all of that. Yeah. And obviously, the last thing I would say is that you need to learn how to budget as they get older as well, because depending on their needs, it might be helpful for some people to have pet insurance along the way to help with
Mm.
medical and hospital bills along the way if your cat's going through chemotherapy or any of that sort of thing. Alternatively as well, like I mean, on forums as well as online, and if you speak to anyone experienced, they might be able to tell you how to get various medical supplies at a cheaper rate when you go
Mm.
into, or if you band together with a bunch of people to buy in bulk, and
Right.
certain things. So there are ways around it, but I think it's about, you have to kind of make space for extra time to care for them as well
Mm.
as a little bit of money for that. Yeah.
That's amazing. That is a wealth of very useful information. Thank you so much, Inge.
I hope I'm not nagging.
No, no, and I think it's that's amazing because too many people kind of think, oh, I don't understand how to go about doing this, and you've laid out so many different resources that we can actually look for, and that's really useful. Thank you so much, Inge. Um, well, unfortunately, that topic does actually lead us to the next thing, which, when we care for our pets when they get old, another thing, of course, that we need to be prepared for is the time when they will eventually leave us. And I'm a pet owner myself. I've had cats since I was 15. And I do understand this is something we've all been through, and I do want to talk about it. starting with Paul, because I understand that Paul very unfortunately quite recently actually lost a feline member of his family. And I'd like to ask Paul, like, you know, how was that? What were the things that you did to prepare and to cope with it?
Yeah, you know, death is never easy. It doesn't matter in what form it comes to you in life, but we all have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just recently I lost Jewel, who was my cat that I adopted from the Animal Lovers League. So when I went to visited the shelter, um, she was the one cat that came up and was giving me so much attention. And I left there on that first day thinking, oh, I'm gonna go back and visit her, and I think I'm gonna adopt that one. I always tell people when they ask me if they can, they want to adopt a cat or a dog. I said, yeah, go do your research. If you can go and visit, and go, because I always believe that the animals choose you.
They do.
As much as you want to choose an animal, it's not just because they look pretty and all that. There has to be a connection. And
Yes.
animal instinct is so much more powerful than the human instinct. So the animal will let you know if they are comfortable with you, if they are drawn to you, and they're good, they'll let you know. So I was very lucky with Jewel. She was like a dog trapped in a cat's body. She was super manja, always wanted, to be loved. Yeah, just and cuddle and snuggles and everything. So I was very lucky in that sense. We had 5 years together, almost 5.5. She passed away just before circuit breaker. Now, that's the one thing that hurts a little bit as well. Like, I was like, oh, circuit breaker, this time at home is the most I've ever spent at home in one place for a very long time. Because I'm either traveling and shooting my travel shows, or on a media trip somewhere, or working nonstop, going out doing things. So I look back and think this would have been such an amazing time to really spend so much quality time with her. And you can't look back and regret, of course. It happened very quickly for us. Cats are very good at hiding their symptoms and going away and just doing their thing. They sleep a lot anyways. They sleep on average 16 to 18 hours a day anyways. So yeah, it's very hard if you don't pick up signs early on. You actually don't notice anything with cats, but they're very different to dogs. You'll kind of notice with dogs a lot more, because dogs depend on us a little bit more than cats. So when we did finally notice, it was only a few days in between noticing that she wasn't quite right, to then taking her to the vet, to then being diagnosed with basically kidney failure beyond repair, to us giving her pain management, to then taking her home and letting her pass away at home with us here, surrounded by love and as comfortable as possible. We didn't want her to pass away in the vet alone, without any of us around. So we made the choice to bring her home, check her out that evening, and within a few hours, on the couch with us, she took her last breath. And not a lot of people could deal with that. I understand, but I think you have to make that decision that you don't want your pet to suffer. So you make a decision. You have to make a call, whether it's putting them down to sleep, but I always agree, you must be there with them. I think that's the most important thing. Or do you have the ability to bring them home and then at least be on pain medication and let them slip away with you? It's a hard call. We made the call because we kind of knew that she was going to pass away very soon. We just didn't know it would be within a few hours of us leaving the vets. That was a bit of a shock, so to speak. But at the same token, it also meant that we weren't prolonging her suffering. Yeah. Again, I think if you're a cat owner, like I said, I think the things you could look out for, and what we've learned subsequently from going through that experience is, you should always check if your cat is starting to throw up a lot more. So throwing up, or their poo they get diarrhea. So they're not going to the toilet properly as well, or struggling. They're not obviously eating or drinking well.
Yeah.
and there's a change in their character or mood from what they would usually be like with
Mm.
you. I know it's a little bit harder to tell with cats because they're so independent, anyways.
Yeah.
But we noticed that this is the main core
Mhm.
symptoms you could kind of identify, and you
Yeah.
could realize, ooh, something is wrong. Especially if they get a bit mangy. Of course, if they lose weight because they're not eating, and they get a bit mangy because they're not cleaning themselves, if they're a
Yeah.
little bit of pain. But
Mm.
again, cats are very, very good at hiding those later symptoms a lot longer. And before
Yes.
you know it, it's suddenly like, oh, wait a minute, no, 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 something
Mm.
is wrong. And there's a very quick transition you don't quite realize. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that's what you should look out for,
Mm.
with your cats in particular.
If I could go over
um,
to
mm,
Inch then, because she's unfortunately had to deal with not just the loss of her cat, but her two beloved dogs who lived
mm,
to an amazing old age. But as she has told us, as you told us, you spend all that time taking care of them when they were sick. So could you maybe share a little bit about us? Like, what was it like to say goodbye? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, this is something. I mean, I had a cat that I lost when she was 17. And yeah,
good age though, good age,
yes.
17.
But if there's anything you could share about what pet owners can expect, and perhaps what are some of the things, for example, if your pet does expire at home, what do you do after that? Are there people you can call to come and take the body away for cremation?
Right.
How did you
Uh,
handle it?
well, Ricky was a Mr. Ricky. Sorry, he was a Shih Tzu that lived up to 17,
Yeah.
and he was. I mean, he had quite a lot of complications, but similarly to he's a dog cat. I don't know why he kind of switches between both.
Yeah.
You can't tell when he's ill because he's got such a happy demeanor all the
Mm,
time. So
mm,
like he had a tumor on his one paw, he's blind on his one eye because he has cataract. He started having digestive issues, intestinal issues, and like he had like so his whole body was giving way. But he would still be like, "Hey, what's up? What's up?" Like
mm.
there is no way to tell that he was ill. Like every time we went to the vet's like, "Wow, he's in critical condition, but he doesn't look like
Sure.
he is in critical condition. Like he looks happy." And you're like, "I don't know. I don't get this dog either." And so it was only when he really started being immobile and he was really on the bed, and we made the decision to put him down because
Mm,
it was he didn't want to go.
yeah.
He didn't want to go, and the truth was like no matter how much I tried, I mean, I honestly think the most important thing for any pet owner is to actually speak to your dog or your cat
Yeah.
and actually have the conversation with them about death. I know it seems like a strange thing for some people, but I do believe that on some level they have an understanding of you on an emotional, naturalistic level.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So if you have that genuine conversation about letting go, what it means for
Yep.
you. And for me, it was tough because I felt the reason why Ricky didn't want to go was because he was worried about me. He was not ready to leave me yet. So and that's what I felt because I know that he truly was one of the few things in my life that I can confidently say loved me. And it was I made the decision to put him down, but only because it was extremely important for him to let go as well. And I just
Mm,
what and I had that on like a few days of talking to him like you don't have to worry about me, like you have to let go. And you could see when I started having that conversation for him,
that's
he
right.
did started letting go. Hey,
Yeah, he just jumped up. Sorry to interrupt, but he
no,
literally
not
just
at
jumped
all.
up. So
Hey,
this is Percy,
hey,
one of
Percy.
the little kittens we got recently as well. Well, a few months ago now, 2 months ago.
Hey,
Yeah.
Percy.
but
Okay.
but yeah, sorry, yes. Oh,
No,
Percy.
please.
Yeah.
Hey, Percy. She wanted to say hi. That's
Yeah.
all right.
But
Yeah.
yes, please go on, Inch.
So
So
Ricky in the end was definitely starting to like allow his body to give way in the next few days, and then on the last few days he was still holding on. Like he was on the bed every day and he didn't leave, and we just made a decision that we should put him down at the vet. We were with him when we do it, and it was really heartbreaking for me. And for in terms of like immediately after that, I think what it's good if your vet gives you as much time as you need to grieve, which my vet did, before
Yes.
making any decisions about what to do, the practical things like the body and what next. I had a funeral for Ricky,
Mm.
so there are a few people out there. I don't think there was a place that I don't know if they're still around, but they actually hold a whole funeral service and cremation for your pets. So
Mm.
you take it down and it's really lovely. They'll tell you they will refrigerate the body till a certain time, and
Mm.
then you can come on down with flowers, and I did a small eulogy with him, and then eventually waited there in the office and cried my eyeballs out waiting for the whole cremation process to happen before taking him home. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
That's
think that's so important because they
mm,
are a part of our lives for their entire lives. They give themselves to us, and we owe them that recognition and that love to recognize just how important they are. And I think it's amazing that we have resources here that allow us to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I would add on to Inch exactly the same thing. I was talking to Jewel the whole
Mm.
time, just telling her it's okay. You can go. You can let go. You can go. It's okay. We're fine. And it's funny you say that when you make that connection to let them know. We always said that like Percy and his sister Kiwi, when we adopted them, you know, it it was like almost we adopted two more lives into our home,
Yes.
and Jewel kind of knew that we'd be okay in that
Mm.
sense. Like, okay, it was her time. She got sick and she was gonna go, but she left us still with a house full of animals. So in a way, maybe she was just saying like, I know you'll be okay.
Mhm.
You'll be okay with everyone else. But it's a very important to. I'm a firm believer that you should, if you can have that opportunity to really say goodbye and be with your pet all the
Yeah.
way, it's very, very important. It's good for you too.
Yeah.
That closure, that real closure of being there. Yeah. So the
Okay.
funeral is amazing though. I
Yes.
never I never quite went that. I didn't go that far, but that's really something that, yeah. I mean, that's how we grieve, right?
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Just as
So
we would for any family member, this
that's
is
right.
something we go
Exactly
through.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that went a little deep, but it needed to. So just to balance it out, I think the time is right to maybe not talk so much about the end of life and maybe talk about some very special creatures who have just begun their lives in your beautiful
Mm.
home, Paul.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I understand you've got kittens who arrived something like less than 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it would be 3 weeks on Tuesday. So what's happening is during the whole circuit breaker, spending all this time at home, we wanted to really help more. So we started to foster. Uh, so my namesake is now complete. I am a real fosterer. So we helped this particular rescuer from who started the Sand Fund. And the Sand Fund was named after Sand, who was one cat that was found with half his face being eaten away,
Oh
rotting.
gosh.
He's a street community cat. So she rescued him, and he just got discharged actually. So he's been in the hospital at the vets for like, I think it was like a month,
Mm.
and they managed to rescue him. So he's healing, and now he's at a foster now recovering.
Right.
But we had Dill. So here's Dill.
Oh.
Dill was an abandoned cat who was pregnant, and she got attacked. Hi, Dill. She got
Hey.
attacked. Yeah, she got attacked, and that was her wound that was now healing. It's been a month. She's a bit of a love bug. She loves to flop.
Oh.
So we took her in to obviously foster her and for her to give birth. Now let me try and do this so that I don't mess things up. Let's try and get this done. A bit of maneuvering here. Okay. And then she gave birth to this little litter of
Ah.
kittens. So let's see, we've got this little one. So this is Chutney. Chutney. And then we've got Branston.
Branston.
Branston. What a regal
Branston.
name.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a huge name for a wee little
yeah.
thing.
And then we've got Pickle Lily.
Pickle Lily.
So because Mama Dill was named Dill, we named all the kittens after like pickles, right? All the all the pickles you can get. So yeah, they were all born, and look, she's a lovely mama. She's a lovely
Oh,
mama.
Oh.
She
sweetheart.
wants to make sure everyone's good. And
Mm,
yeah, it's just one of those things where if you're able to help, if you're able to help, help. And if and this is something that we thought we really wanted to do.
mm.
And yeah, just really, really lucky. I mean, look at these beautiful, beautiful kittens that are just amazing.
Oh, wow.
And again, this is the gift of life, I guess, right?
Mm.
Where, yeah, I mean, and I think we've got a lot of people who are interested to it. I think they're all adopted already.
Oh, wow.
I
Well,
think
it's
so.
thanks to the
It's
excellent care that you've taken of them. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, we've got lucky. We got lucky. Dill, I mean, she was obviously not meant for the streets. And when she was abandoned and she was attacked, I mean,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have survived out there, I don't think.
Yes.
And I mean, she's just,
Oh, she's a little love bug.
yeah, she's just,
Tummy rubs.
the tummy rubs, that's it. This is the most trustworthy thing a cat will ever give you, their tummy, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, it's really sweet. And
I'm so impressed that she's still so trusting after the events that happened to her. That's so
yeah, I mean, that's why we think she was definitely abandoned, that she was from a home. And again, that's just irresponsible, I guess, for
Mhm.
Yeah.
someone to let it. And whether she got pregnant on the streets or whether she was pregnant prior, we don't know.
Mm.
But yeah, it's one of those things. And yes, so if you want to help the Sand Fund, they're requiring obviously all these, like you said, we mentioned at the start of this show, where they all need donations, they all need
Yeah.
funds to do everything. So, and it costs money. It does cost a lot of money to treat injured cats. So the Sand Fund, they focus on rescuing injured cats in the
Mm.
community. So they go around and they take injured cats, bring them to the vets, do whatever needs to be done. And if you just check out, I mean, if you just look at Sand's story,
Mm.
the start of the Sand Fund, it is simply amazing. It's quite
Yes.
graphic to
Right.
see his face, but you look at him now and wow, if that doesn't get you to open up your digital wallet to send some money across to them, and all the details are there, you can follow the Sand Fund
It's
and see
amazing.
what it is.
Yeah.
It really is amazing, and you're helping a lot. And if you can foster and then adopt, wow, it'd be amazing. Okay, they're having
So
a lot
that's
of
a
fun
call
now.
from Paul Foster to, if you can, open up your hearts and open up your homes to foster needy animals at this point. But yeah, Inch, you've got a couple of feline friends in your life. Is there any possibility we could take a peek at any of them?
She's right here, right
Oh,
next to
wow.
me
Ah,
on the computer. She tends to like to sit. There we go.
Oh,
This is
sweetheart.
Tig.
Hey.
Yeah,
And
she's
how
a.
old is she?
They. I've only got them in November, and they've only
Mm.
been they're about a year old. We just celebrated their birthday, which was in April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were. I adopted them from Love Kuching,
Mm.
who
mm,
focuses on community cats as well as actually elderly cats on the streets. So
Right.
yeah, so it's just they very rarely kind of have kittens, but in this case, their mother was found in a warehouse in Khatib,
Right.
and she was very resourceful. She kind of just made a place there, but then they had to chase her out, so the love
Mm.
kucing came in. And yeah, I there's one more. Initially I was just looking for, it took me a while to decide to adopt because I was still, I mean, it's been 5-6 years already, but I haven't fully kind of gotten over Ricky yet, and I wasn't ready to go like I want another pet. And I was just afraid for my part that I didn't want to feel like I'm replacing some like Ricky. So it
Yeah.
took a while. And then eventually I was only looking for one pet, but then they were brothers and sisters and they came as a bonded pair.
Right.
And I met Tiggs actually particularly, and Tiggs would immediately like I agree with Paul so much. Like they pick you, you don't pick them. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was there just sort of like hanging out at Love Kuching for quite a bit, and it was natural that they kind of just gravitated to me, and they just sat up, like she just sat on my lap, and she was like, that was the end of it, and I was like, I'm taking them home. Yeah.
That's amazing.
If
Now,
give me a minute, like give me a
yeah.
short bit. I'm just gonna grab Snow because I
Okay.
Snow is her brother.
Okay. Well, while
Um,
while Inch is letting me know, I just wanted to ask both Paul and Inch, because you both had
mhm.
cats as well as dogs, and
Yeah.
people tend to think like, oh, I'm a dog person, so I don't like cats, or
Yeah.
I'm a cat person and I don't like dogs. Is there really such a thing? Do you think?
Yeah. There is. There are people who, um, you know, love one and hate the other. So definitely there
Right.
is, but and there's people who love both, and that's cool. That's just what it is. Yeah.
And
So
that's
look at that one.
no. Oh my gosh.
Uh, so
He's
they're brother and sister.
Yeah, brothers
That's
and
cool.
sisters. He's the chunky one in
Yeah,
the
he's
house.
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Is he
Nice.
very slightly cross-eyed?
Yes.
Right. He looks like he's got Siamese blood in him, so that's probably
Yeah,
it.
it is like a
Yeah.
seal point mix. So eventually they still have, like, he has still another sister who is a seal point as well, and their mother is a gorgeous, like, tri-looking tabby,
Right.
tri-colored tabby,
Right.
and it turns out my friends adopted them too. So
Right.
Yay.
yeah, I know. So
Oh,
I just can't
baby.
wait for all of them to come and we'll have a reunion.
That's
But I
awesome.
mean, from both of your stories, I think the takeaway is that's why sterilization programs are so important.
Yes. Yes.
And even for stray cats, the sterilize and release programs are so important, just so that we're protecting our cats from this sort of situation where you have pregnant mamas who are thrown out of their homes and have nowhere to give birth. We're so thankful, Paul, that you were there for this particular mama in her time of need.
It's just right time, right place. I'm sure, the call came very quickly for us
Yeah.
to take her and do it, and the vets were spot on. They're like, oh, 2 weeks, 2 weeks she'll give birth, and it was like on the money. 2 weeks
Wow, what a vet.
So,
exactly.
Paul, we've got a
Yeah.
question from one of our viewers, from
Yeah.
Highway, actually, whom I think you might know. Oh, my goodness.
I
She
know,
wants love,
Dill.
and she wants
Yes,
love right now.
I know.
Now we
Okay.
see how strongly attached they are to you.
Yeah.
But so they're about 3 weeks old. So when will they be ready to go to their forever homes, do you think?
2 months. So
2 months.
we would have to keep the kittens for at least 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And then obviously once they grow up a little bit more, and they've kind of finished eating from mom's finished nursing them,
Ooh.
then we can start to look at getting them adopted out. Their nails are very sharp.
Yes, and she does not want to go away.
No, she
It's
doesn't. I
very
might need
safe
help.
in there. She
Okay.
loves it.
Oh, and she's got my wire. Okay.
So do you
Yeah,
think
so-
when the time comes in about 6 weeks, are you going to be ready for this to let them go?
Yeah, we are. We already have interested friends,
Right.
who are going to adopt them. So kittens are very easy to get adopted, to tell you the truth, right? Because they're kittens. But we've got one of Joey's friends who would love to take Dill, Mama Cat, because
Right.
she reminds her of her childhood cat. She looks exactly like her childhood cat. So we may get Dill adopted, and then one kitten on its own, and then two together.
All right.
I guess it depends on again how you want to adopt. There's no really right or wrong. I mean, sometimes again when we adopted our two newest kittens as a pair,
Mhm.
we kind of knew we wanted a ginger and black. We got very lucky that they were in one litter. The
Right.
ginger, so Percy that you met earlier was brought in to join another litter of black kittens because they were both abandoned at the same time,
Right.
but Percy was alone. And we needed to get kittens because we had 3 adult cats at the time.
Right.
So we need to get kittens so that the adults wouldn't feel too threatened, and they would slip into the hierarchy. Okay, but if you're a 0 cat household, it doesn't matter. You get a kitten, you get a mid-age, you get an elderly animal or cat or dog. If it's single, it's totally fine. So it just depends really what you want to do. And I guess another point is I had a lot of friends who were asking about adopting during the circuit breaker period. So it was a little bit difficult because none of the groups could actually kind of get them do the adoption process.
Yeah.
But now they're starting to open up again. So if you're still interested, go and look out. But I think the one thing that was pointed out was if you're really a first time owner, you're not too sure, a really good way to get really comfortable is to foster first.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
the commitment of fostering is, it's not permanent in a sense, unless you're a foster fail. But
Yes.
getting an animal in and taking care of them for a period of time to get them adopted, and that could help you gain the confidence and the experience of then eventually getting your own, full-time member of your family.
And
And
also, I mean,
yeah,
coming back to the importance of letting go of the animals that you foster, we do that, right? So that we can actually make space for the next animals who need a little bit
correct,
of help and fostering.
exactly
Yeah.
right. And it is that vicious cycle in a way, that process where we are helping, we are helping, and that's exactly right. And the more everyone can help on the outside, the more stress you're taking off from rescuers and the animal welfare groups and the shelters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Inge, I wanted to ask you the same question that I asked Paul, because you've both had dogs and cats. Is there such a thing as a dog person or a cat person? Because we hear so many dog people who are like, oh, I don't do cats. They're aloof. They don't like you. They sleep. They're boring. Or we have cat people who are like, oh, dogs are slobbery and smelly and they're in your face. So you've had both. What can you say about being a dog
Oh,
person or
sorry.
a
Yeah.
cat person?
Well, I feel like it to me, let's just put species aside. I think it's about a compatibility of personalities, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if I switch the animal to a human being, if I compared to a needy human being or a person that's a little bit more independent, like I would say, like, what would be your preference? And for me, I don't think I'm an animal person or just any entity person, and no biasness with the dogs or cats. And that's also because but I do know, like, when I wanted to get another pet, it was very clear to me that I needed to be as, I mean, one thing that I learned while being with Ricky was that I realized that over the years my schedule was not very compatible to have a dog. Like, I,
Yeah.
as much as I wanted to spend time with him, I am guilty of being too busy for him or not being home enough for him when they actually, dogs do need that a little bit more. So to me, it became like, I think, as a responsible, for me, it was a responsible owner. As a responsible owner of a pet, I wanted to get a cat because I do know that they would be more independent.
Yes.
And I mean, the truth is, I've met plenty of dogs and cats with, like, vice versa personalities. Like, Ricky was
Yeah.
a cat dog, and, like, honestly, Tig's a dog. Like, she's a straight up dog. Like, if there's anybody at the door, she runs it to it and growls at the door. Have you heard of a cat growl at the door? Well, Tiggs does that.
That's a guard cat.
I know, she's a
Oh my
god
gosh.
cat. So she's like, she's amazing. So to me, there is no, I don't think the prejudice should stand on a species, but it's more about, if you're going to have any animal enter your life, like, it's
Yeah.
about connecting with them with their personality on a very one-on-one level. Yeah.
All right. So going from guard cats to an actual dog, Paul, I understand we've seen all these
Yeah.
amazing, beautiful cats, but you've actually got a dog,
I do.
right? And
I
how
just need
does
to
your
go
dog
and
get
find.
along with all the cats in the house, could I ask?
Bam Bam just loves everything. You could
Oh,
be
wow.
a door, a tree, a human, a cat, or a dog. I mean, she just loves, life, and so happy. Is Bam Bam here?
Oh,
Bam
that's
Bam.
all right. It's okay, but
I'll try and find her.
okay, but
I'm not sure where she
we
is.
do
Let's see.
we have a
Yeah, I'll get
question
her out.
from
Come on, Bam.
our viewer, Camellia. Ah, is that Bam Bam? Ah, there she is. Oh,
Husky.
Yeah, so this is
gorgeous.
Bam. And she wants to be friends with everyone. She wants to
Oh,
be friends with
wow.
everyone, and she loves all the cats. Ooh, okay, sit.
Amazing.
Okay, so she will want to be friends with all the cats, but the cats might not necessarily want to be friends with her. Do you want this?
So we've got a
Leave.
question from our viewer, Camellia, who wants to ask both of you, do
Leave.
your animals have free reign of the whole house? Do you allow them to go absolutely everywhere and anywhere?
Sit.
Yeah. Oh, look
Okay.
at her. Look at Bam
Yeah.
Bam.
She is stealing the show, Bam. My goodness,
She always
what a
does.
star.
Inch, do you want to answer that one first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, my cats, they are my overlords, and they are totally, they boss me around the house, and they are completely allowed everywhere in the house. But I do train them in some ways. They're actually using the toilet bowl as their litter
Oh,
box.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And similar to I mean, I don't think it's as extensive as Paul, but I do have like a little
Yeah.
cat tree in the house
Oh,
for them.
wow.
So they do get to kind of go to high places. But I mean, they're ingenious that they'll find just really all the nooks and crannies in the house to just hang out. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just that the only one place that I don't really, I try to tell them hi.
That's Bongo.
Hey,
Oh,
Bongo.
That's
Bongo.
Bongo chilling his one of his high spots.
So
Yeah.
yeah, just a quick question about things like this catification or having cat
Mm-hmm.
trees.
Yeah.
How does
So
that how does that
yeah.
help make their lives better, especially if there's a dog around who
Yeah.
wants to, get to know them? Does this help them be more comfortable or feel more secure, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, the animals all are territorial in a sense, so they'll find their spots around. When we chose this house to move into, the criteria was garden
Mm-hmm.
for Bam, and then enough space in the house for the cats.
Right.
Because we were introducing Jewel, my cat, to Joey's two cats and dog.
Mm.
And then, we always envisioned when we found this house and this whole wall was, available. So we got the cat people to make the cat wall with the bridge up
Yeah.
here. And the kittens love it. I mean, Bongo loves it as well. Moshi doesn't crawl. We have another cat you haven't seen today. She's a little bit more elusive. She's just chilling somewhere. And yeah, their house is their house. That's it. So that's it. Oh, I got
But
Kiwi.
Ah.
Oops, this is Kiwi. So this is Percy's sister.
Pretty.
So we wanted to get a nice black and ginger pairing.
Beautiful. But we've got questions from owners, I think, who, because usually we're a little bit concerned about dogs and cats getting along together. So Madeline is asking, how do you introduce cats to, new cats to a household with a dog? And a similar question from Dominic, asking, how did you manage to get your dog to be okay with cats?
Great questions. Look, it's never easy, but it takes time. It just takes time. So, Joey had one cat, and then it was a second cat. So she had to get her two cats to get along. It took about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was introducing Bam in.
Right.
So, and that took about a year until they all got really comfortable.
Right.
But, Bam was a pup, I think. And then it ended up being, after many years, I introduced Jewel to this dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a lot harder to get adult cats and dogs to get along.
Right.
And that's why also we need to get the kittens this time around. So not only for the kittens to then be okay, or the adult cats to be okay with the kittens, which they're a bit on and off about that. But more importantly, we wanted the kittens to be really cool with Bam, and Percy, the ginger cat, and Bam are like, they've got a really special relationship. It's really, really cute to see, like a little boy and a big girl.
So that handily sort of ties in with a question from Vivian. How do you introduce a kitten to a dog?
Slowly.
So time.
Slowly. But I think also it really does. Look, as owners of animals, the character of your animals too.
Yeah.
So you'll know whether your cat or dog likes other people, likes other animals of the same species, or likes other animals of other species. You'll figure it out, and you'll know. So I think that's the most important thing. Not to say that it's impossible to integrate, but it definitely takes a little bit of time, a little bit of coaxing, a lot of love and a reassurance, and you have to make sure everyone knows that you're all there together and you're a family. I think that's the most important thing. And if you can create that vibe and that energy, I think it helps a lot. And just integration, slowly integration. When we got when we adopted the two kittens, for example, we made sure they came when they were still quite young, and we let Bam smell them,
Right.
We let them smell BAM.
So
We
you let the older animals who are more established kind of set the
yeah,
tone for it.
yeah, in a way. And what we did was we got t-shirts or towels, and we made from each animal
Mm.
to bring back to the rescuer, so that the two kittens could get used to that
The scent.
the scents,
Yeah.
and vice versa. We got a towel from her, that the kittens were, had their scent on, and
Right.
started to introduce that into the house, so
Right.
that, and put it in their places where the cats usually chill,
Right.
so that they start to get used to that scent as well. So
Okay.
it's little integration points that you have to kind of work with to get, and again, it's all instinct, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that amazing amount of information and advice. So we're getting
And
up on the point.
there's no right way. I think
Yeah,
it's just a trial and
exactly.
error,
You
and just,
understand your
yes,
own animals the
yes,
best, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
have to listen to them as well and let them set
yeah,
the
yeah.
pace.
And it takes time. It really is just time.
Oh. So, Inch, any final words of advice for our viewers out there about anything that you care about with regard to animals, or basically in particular, oh, Bam Bam, in particular, taking care of senior pets that you've had so much experience with? Any last words of wisdom to share?
I think there is a lot of wisdom in tapping into the community that already exists. There are a lot of people who have the experience of like, may it be whatever condition your pet might be in. So don't be
Yeah.
shy to reach out to these various forums to ask for
Yeah.
help. Don't just think it's between your vet and you. You know, there's a lot of other resources out there. And if you're someone that's thinking of getting a new pet, always consider to always
Yeah.
adopt. Always,
Yeah.
always adopt. And in many cases, I think one of the things that I would say is one of the big questions that I tell people if they're ready to have a pet yet is, I'm asking, why are you getting a pet? I think that's something you really need to ask for yourself. If it's something about getting connection in any way, that's a great idea. As much as you want to help, sometimes I think it should be more than that. Like, you have to really want a genuine connection with something.
Yeah.
And if it's purely about ownership, then don't get a pet. Yeah.
Exactly.
If it's just about just owning something, no. A life is not for you to own, you know?
Yes.
It's a life is for you to share. So don't do
Yes.
Get a plant.
that. Yeah, get a plant. At least they won't talk back, or they don't need
Yeah.
that much. Like,
Well,
I've had less success with my house plants than I have with my animals.
well,
or get a rock. Like, get a pet
Yeah,
rock.
yeah, yeah.
Start with that. Like, get a pet rock and just stroke it every day and make sure your rock is fine.
Tamagotchi, baby.
Yeah.
Well, Paul and Inch, thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking time out to be with us, and you've given us such amazing insight into your own journeys and shared such amazing advice and wisdom. Thank you so very much. We wish you all the best for your future endeavors, and we'll be seeing you around all over the place, I'm very sure. It's Chua and Paul Foster, everyone. Thank you. Thank
Bye
you
now.
so
Bye,
much.
Inch. Great catching up.
See ya. Thank you. All right. So that was Paul Foster and Inch sharing their journeys with adoption and fostering and rescue with us. So next, I would like to invite to our chat the woman with the big dreams and even bigger heart who founded Hope for Animals. And she's the one that brought together all these wonderful people and put us together with our organizations that have come on board to help us with sponsorships. So everyone, please welcome in a very short time. We're still waiting for her to come into the chat room. But yeah, it's really been our absolute privilege to try to be here every single week, to either be talking about all these important issues to do with adoption and fostering and rescue, but also, yes, to help with online adoption drives in place of all the live adoption events that were supposed to happen. So I see we've got Melody here. So everyone, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Melody Tan. Hi, Mel. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hey.
So great to
All
come
right.
on board at this time. I'm so sorry, at this time my dogs are also barking.
No worries.
Yes.
Okay, and also wait, we're gonna talk a little bit more to Melody a little later on, but for now we've got our third guest for today's episode, who is an extremely familiar face and name. He's totally familiar to me because when MTV was first coming onto the screens in our households, this was the face. This was the face that we were used to seeing. So you've seen him on MTV Asia as a VJ for 15 years. And you've also seen him pretty recently on the red carpet at the Oscars, covering the event and conducting celebrity interviews for HBO Asia. And of course, he's also been in local dramas such as Chase and Hours and 8 seasons of Incredible Tales. And he's also got a really prolific and accomplished film and television career back in Thailand. So he's not just a local star, he's a regional celebrity. So everyone, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Ut. Hi, Ut.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you
Hi,
see
and thank
me?
you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for that really big intro, Eleanor. That was really cool. You know what I like about this, me and Melody?
What?
We're like very candid right now. Melody has like her mom in the background. I have my dad right here.
Oh, hi, Uncle.
He just ran out.
And this is the reality of the situation. We're all at home. I'm at home. I've told my teenage daughter to stay out of the room, and that's just the way it is. But oh, hello, sweetie. Is this Aiko?
That's Aiko, because like my dad, which he's not supposed to do, is like he likes to give her some scraps.
Oh.
So she likes to lay under the table. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I understand that you are a proud doggy dad, not just to Aiko, but you've also got another sweet baby, Bravo. So could you tell us a little bit more about how they came into your life? I understand that Bravo was rescued from a pretty bad situation. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes, sure. Hold on, let me bring you out and I'll tell you the story about Bravo.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do it a bit differently from Paul and Inch. I'm gonna show you Bravo and Aiko from the beginning. Okay. And then thank you to Paul and Inch for sharing so much. That was really cool. I was watching. So Bravo, he loves the camera, by the way. So
well, that's great. Oh, look at that tail wag. Yeah, he does love the camera.
So, okay, I'll tell you the story. Oh, that's so cool. Melody has hers too. Melody, what's yours? What's his name or her name? Loki? Is it a he?
Okay.
So Bravo here, he's about 7 years old. He loves the camera. So that means he takes after me. He has been with me for the last probably 7 months. He's fit in nicely with the family. Now up here, it looks like a mohawk because most people think I probably put like some hair gel on him. But the story behind this is he used to have an owner, and apparently his former owner, according to the foundation where I got him, this is him showing a lot of love. Oh. So his original owner didn't really take good care of him. He would always find a way to escape home and he would try to go out and find food for himself. So anyways, long story short, one of the days that he went out for his adventure, there was like a mentally unstable homeless person who actually chopped him right here over the head.
Oh my goodness.
And the foundation found him and they took him back to his original owner, and the original owner didn't want to take care of him. Right. So the foundation actually cared for him for about a year.
Right.
And then I ran into him because there was like a pet fair, and the foundation in Thai is called Si Ka Ha Ban. Si Ka is 4 legs, Ha Ban is finding a home.
Right.
So what they do is they look out for abused animals, cats and dogs, and they rehabilitate them and they try to find a home for the dogs and cats. So that's his story. And so he's been he's different for me because I've always been an advocate of adopt, don't shop.
Yes.
But I've also been guilty of shopping. Because Aiko was actually bought from a pet store. So I went through like a period where I felt sort of guilty But then I
Mhm.
realized that pets, they don't know whether they're being bought or not. And the best
Yes.
I can do is educate myself eventually, and eventually spread the word about what I've learned. So he actually picked me, just like
Right.
what Infant Paul said,
Yeah.
because I wasn't looking to adopt such a huge dog. So I was afraid that what the space I had at home wasn't big enough for him. So that's why I
Right.
joined the foundation, and the foundation had me go through the whole process of like this questionnaire. Um, they had to vet me, and then
Mhm.
eventually they had several people who were interested. But at the end of the day, they were looking for someone um, who would be able to give like Bravo a lot of love, because I
Right.
think some of the other people they were vetting, they were looking to breed golden retrievers, and that was something they weren't comfortable with.
Yes.
So that's how that story came about. When I first met him, his eyes were really sad,
Oh
um,
no.
and his eyes are the opposite now. He's like
Yes,
really,
because you've made such a difference. You've given him a safe, happy home, and look at the difference in that. I mean, it's not just about the physical scars, but the emotional scars that these poor animals actually suffer when they go through trauma like that. But I mean, and thank you so much for being so upfront about Aiko and where Aiko came from. But at the same time, I think there's a really good story behind Aiko that maybe our viewers would be able to learn from, because I understand that you relocated Aiko from Singapore to Thailand when you went back to Thailand.
yes, I did. That was a whole process, and that was interesting because when I was living in Singapore, I mean, I was basically in Singapore as it was like my second home. I was there
Yeah.
alone because I was there alone. So having Aiko as a pet helped me a lot. I mean, she was
Mm.
always there for anything I was going through. But
Yeah.
I had two dogs in Thailand already. I had a Bull Terrier and a Jack Russell.
Right.
So, and they're actually, I mean, they've since passed away. So
Right.
they're actually in the garden, as in like, I put them in the garden because I wanted
Yes.
them to be home.
Yes.
But back to Aiko, I had, I mean, kind of referring to like Paul and Inch, kind of sharing how when their pets passed away, my Bull
Mhm.
Terrier, which I had, her name's Chino, I had her for about 14 years. She had
Wow.
passed away at the time,
Right.
and that was really hard, and I'm not really going to go into it because like we've kind of covered this topic already, but
Yes.
long story short, I wasn't even looking to wanting a new pet, because I think if you experience the loss of a pet,
Yeah.
you just don't want to jump into wanting to have
Yeah.
another one so soon, because
Yeah.
the whole I mean, you bond, and it's very heartbreaking. But about 4 or 5 months after that, I saw Aiko at a pet shop, and then I'm just like, no, I'm not going to buy. I'm just not going to purchase. But there was a connection the first time I saw her,
Yes.
and then I'm like, okay, if she's there like 3 weeks late, like 2 weeks later, you say these things, and I go back and she wasn't there.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, things are meant to be that way. But I think apparently she was moved to another branch. And so
Right.
when I came back another week, 3 weeks later, she was there again. And I think what sold, what not sold, I want to say the word sold, what connected Aiko to myself and me to Aiko was when they brought her out.
Yes.
And when I just cradled her, and everything that I thought previously, I'm not going to get a new pet, it just changed because I just felt whole.
Yeah.
So that's how she came about. And
Mm.
then I've been like very supportive of all the organizations, in whether it's like locally in Singapore, locally in Thailand. And
Yes.
I think going back to what I was sharing with you two and our viewers and audience right now, I went through a whole period of feeling guilty of
Mm.
having purchased her.
Yes.
And then I realized that I have to let that go, because the pets, they don't know whether they're being bought or not. And
Yes.
what I can do is educate myself, and then share that education and information, and pass it forward. And I
Right.
think in a way it's a bit real,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like I'm saying to people like, hey, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And like I also, this is what I really did. I did shop, and
Yes.
I realized that shopping is not the best alternative. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that so honestly and openly with us. But coming to another aspect of Aiko's story, because we do see many sad instances in Singapore where pets get abandoned or surrendered by their owners when they leave Singapore and go to another country. So could you possibly share a little bit about that experience of relocating a pet to another country? What are some of the challenges you faced? And what can you do to, to kind of cope with it, not just for yourself, but also help your animals cope?
I honestly, the process of having to relocate her was quite challenging, more than I thought it, more than I thought it would be. Only because this time there are so many false alarms of me relocating back to Thailand, because I was in Singapore for quite some time, and I think it was my final relocating back here. So the whole process, I mean, you need to research the process, because each country is different. They have different protocols and regulations. But I think it was emotional for me because at that time she felt ill, like very ill, and it was during Christmas and New Year's. And when she felt ill, I was in the process. She was supposed to fly the same time that I did, which was I think a couple of weeks prior to Christmas, and she couldn't make it because all of a sudden she just, I don't know what happened emotionally, mentally. She kind of broke down and she was physically unwell. And I had a lot of very good friends who were able to jump in at a time when I still had the process of coming back. So they were alternating in visiting her and making sure she was okay until I was able to go back. Um, I would say if you're relocating, the most important thing in having a pet, whether you already have a pet or adopting pet, and you need to kind of look in the future, whether where you're staying is going to be permanent or not, so that you're also looking at the fact that whether you bring like a life into your home, into your family, that also comes into consideration. Because if you don't have that into consideration, then like you mentioned, Eleanor, you will find yourself at a crossroads where, oh, okay, then a lot of pets become abandoned because you don't have that in mind. So, but I've always had that in mind. I mean, despite everything I shared with you, how it was very distressing for me, because when I came back, there was a whole another distress. My Jack Russell at 14 passed away.
Right.
And then my parents, I don't know if it's an Asian thing, and I think the audience is watching right now. Maybe you can share your story, but my mom and my dad kept um, kept telling me that my pet passed away. And, like I don't know why parents do that. They didn't. He passed away like a week or 2 weeks prior, and I think they just didn't want to make me stress. And I'm like, I think it took me a while to realize I couldn't. Where is he? And I think it would shift from, oh, he's like at a pet hotel, this and that, and then I realized I had to sit them down. I'm like, no, what pet hotel? And they were in the corner, like, oh, he passed away. He's like really old, and we have like a small pond, so he accidentally couldn't get out of the pond. And, so I was like that. I was even more stressed. The fact that I had one pet in Singapore that was really wasn't well, and then I had another one that just passed away. So that was a really tough time for me. But I just sidetracked there. I'm sorry.
No.
Like
And thank you for sharing
personal
that.
story. But going back to what you're asking, my advice to everyone out there is just please know like what your future, like if you're an expat, or if you're bringing like life into your house, you need to be conscious about your future too, because you need to learn them, because it's like a lifelong commitment.
Yeah, it is. Now, you mentioned that you had been working with animal advocacy and welfare groups in Singapore. I did find out some information that you actually worked with SPCA, with their public awareness campaigns, and you did some volunteering with them. Are you currently involved in any sort of animal advocacy work in Thailand at the moment?
I wouldn't say I am uh, a huge how would I describe it? I tend to be very supportive of organizations. I'm very supportive of the volunteers for any organization
Mhm.
because I think it takes a lot of dedication. I would sort of say that I'm more of your average person who supports as and when when I'm as and when he can, as and when I'm able to. I'll share and I'll visit the organizations, but I'm not there every single day. I'm not as I'm not one. I can't explain it. Basically, I'm a huge advocate of compassion,
Yes.
but I don't want to say like I'm out there and I'm like saving the world and stuff like that. I'm just your average Joe who feels compassion is very strong, is very important, and it doesn't matter what organization that you are a part of or you support, just as long as you want to support them, then you support them. We haven't heard from Melody. I'm like taking over this
We're
conversation.
gonna no, I mean we're gonna talk to Melody, don't worry.
Okay,
But I would
okay.
say please don't be so modest. Don't call yourself an average Joe, because just for Bravo alone, you've been his hero. You have completely turned his life around, and without you, that would not have been possible. So you've opened your home and your heart to an animal that was in need, and that goes way more. That goes beyond just kind of being there when you're free. No, you've done something absolutely amazing. You're his hero. So please don't undersell that. But I do, and what you said about empathy and compassion, I mean, you actually left us with some amazing words when we were kind of talking. So I love how you said we have to have compassion and empathy for living things and our fellow humans because we live in such an unstable world. Could you comment a little bit? Oh, look at you. Is that mirroring? But could you comment a little bit? I mean, how has it been like during this very difficult time with the COVID-19 crisis going on? Has that made any sort of difference for you and your animals and your family? How are you coping at the moment?
I just did like a video for like United Nations Thailand in regards to mental health and how it's important for people in Asia to realize that we need to make a movement and let people know it's okay to admit whatever you're going through, especially during the COVID and quarantine period, that uh, it drives you crazy.
Yeah.
It's like it's going to put you in a place where you need to be able to share and vent out and admit that it's a difficult time. So I what I shared, which I'll share here, was it's been very difficult for me because like it's a lot of cabin fever.
Yes.
I know everyone in Singapore. I think in Thailand we've been very fortunate in the fact that our quarantine phases have been lighter, and the way I cope is we our quarantine measures here. We're still able to go out and walk in the neighborhood. So
Right.
I need to have that sort of me time, alone time, just to be able to, just to see like just to kind of get myself connected to the environment, and that comes with like the dog walks, or just going out for a jog or a run. So
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I mean, I can't. I can't say I can't imagine. I mean, I had that period where we weren't able to go out at all.
Yes.
I can't imagine longer periods of that. And I know people are going through that all over the world.
Yes.
So I think what's really important is to be able to articulate that and to know that other people are going through it and that it's okay. Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about how your dogs, your amazing, beautiful dogs, have been a support to you in terms of mental health and in terms of just how you are at this time?
Well, Bravo just came into my life about, like I said, like half a year, like
Right.
before December. So he actually came in at the right time, like the perfect time, where I think we did not expect this predicament of COVID. So him having such a good, he's very calm, and I think the fact that he's been yearning for some love, yearning to be taken care of, and just feeling how appreciative this life is to me has
Yeah.
been very it's like been like a very calming effect. As for Aiko, it's we earlier with your conversation with Inch and Paul, and I'm sure Melody agrees. Each pet, whether it's a cat or a dog, they have very unique personalities. I mean, Inch was mentioning how her her pet is very dog-like, and Aiko, my Shiba Inu, she's very stubborn and she's very cat-like. It's
Right.
like she wants her space. Um, she's unlike a dog. She's like very stubborn. So a lot of my cat lover friends who aren't used to dogs
Right.
more comfortable with her. So I think like a lot of my cat friends have become more comfortable in understanding the behaviors or like understanding dog people, if you want to say
Right.
that, through Aiko. So yeah, I do agree with Inch that it's not like a matter of like you're a dog or you're a cat, but like sooner or later when you just in general see pets as pets, then individually they just have their different like characters. So
Yeah.
kind of answering your question about COVID, I've had Aiko since Singapore and she's always been very independent. They say pets are pretty much they're a mirror of their owners.
Yes.
So like I'm very hyper. So there's a side to me that's very hyper, very energetic. So I think Bravo is more or less a mirror of that. And my previous bull terrier was Chica was a mirror of that. Aiko is the independent side, is the introvert side. You
Yeah.
know, she needs her space. She needs like, you know, to do her thing. So I have those moments as well.
So Melody, I noticed you've got both your dogs who've come in to be your armrests.
Yes.
And I noticed your parents too.
Yeah, my parents is like, yeah, they are, because like I'm in the living room, and because we are setting up all this, and I mean I'm just always around my family, so by hook or crook my parents will always be in the background, and my dogs is more of like they're just using me. I'm not using them as the arm cushion, they're using me as the heater pack.
But yeah, just can I ask you that question then? How do you think your animals have been there to sort of support your family and yourself through this period? Has it helped to have them around and make things, you know, easier to bear in this lockdown?
I actually think so. Adding on to what earlier on,
That face! Oh my gosh! Hello, Uncle.
Uncle wants to say hi really
Hi,
quick.
Uncle.
That's it.
Don't feed the dog scraps. It's not good for them.
we are like, you know,
That's
humans
Loki,
right here.
Dad.
We're
Oh
just
wait,
ignoring.
that's not Loki, right?
So this is Loki. This boy that's not like even looking at the camera, but this girl is Minnie.
That's
So
right.
yeah, she was adopted, and
in
she's
Singapore.
10 years old already.
That's
Yeah.
Eleanor and that's Melody.
But yeah, I mean, hello, Uncle.
So coming back to your question earlier on, right, with regards to how we cope at home and everything, I feel that having a pet at home is really good. So what Art earlier on mentioned about the fact that, you know, the dog's coming
Sorry,
in at the right
Melody.
time.
Melody, so sorry. We can't see your eyes. Do you think you
Oh
could
yeah,
adjust your...
and maybe yeah, I'm just like wondering whether
Thank
like
you.
you all want to take a look at the dogs over me.
We want to see you. Yeah, sorry. Please go on. What did you say?
So I personally, for me, I feel that having the dogs around helps me a lot mentally. Just following what Art mentioned earlier on is that sometimes when you are in that mood, the point where you just stay home all the time, you do tend to go a little bit crazy. And sometimes when you go to that stage, you don't even realize that you're going there. So it helps when we have pets at home. They kind of like, you know, take your mind off stuff, take your mind off work. So the pets help us with our mental moods, and I think it's been proven that dogs or cats in general, when you have pets, naturally you don't get as easily depressed.
Yeah.
So it's already proven that pets kind of help us mentally also.
So, Art, just coming back to you. So yeah, being home with your family, and yeah, it's so nice that Uncle dropped in to say hi on the video. That was awesome.
So now you know who I take after.
Yes, I was going to say it's clear where you got your good looks from.
And it's so cool that like your father is like so like, you know, he's so the I don't know, I just feel like your dad just coming in, dropping in to say hi, kind of like gives us all the impression that oh, your family is very friendly and very extrovert, right? Actually.
My dad is very. I think my dad's the extrovert. I'm like in between. But I think like what Melody says. I think it's like same with you. I think it's interesting because like right when me and Melody came on live with Eleanor, it's like I noticed like how Melody like her family in the background. I had like my dad in the background. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. So um that I think what I'm trying to say is like seeing how comfortable both families are, like Melody's family and my family, that kind of shows how having animals in like, our environment makes them comfortable
Yeah.
as well. Because I've had some comments where it's like, how come the Shiba's in the house and how come the Golden's outside? And then but we're in social media, everyone, they're gonna
Yes.
They
make their
kind of
comment.
jump the gun, yeah.
Yeah, but then it's like we create our own environment and we know what
Yes.
our environment's about. Basically, Bravo needs like the outdoor space, and he has like an indoor portion. And Aiko's always been like she's always been an indoor girl. So
He's a cat.
yeah, she's a cat basically. But yeah, like what Melody said, like my dad, because of we're just happy. So I think that also you can feel it too. So I'm happy that like Melody can feel that.
I think this situation speaks to, I know that the term has been overused, but the sense of a new normal, because
Yeah.
we're finding ways to connect, even in these times. And even though Zoom at first was this thing that everybody dreaded, but yeah, we're finding a way, and we're seeing a side to everyone here that we might not normally have seen, at least at first. But
Yes.
we're right here with you in your home, saying hi to your dad and your two dogs, and it's also allowed us to see you in a whole new light. And for that, we're so thankful and we're so grateful that you've taken time to be with us today. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
I think
Eleanor, so how many pets do you have? You've
I
been
have
interviewing us, so
so all my cats are downstairs because they're lazy asses, and that's where the food is. I have three cats. I had two, but recently, about a year ago, there was a cat that was in kind of in a drain, and we think he's a Himalayan, so we thought he was a lost pet or an abandoned pet. And I was thinking, okay, because I have a rag doll, and I thought, okay, like rag dolls don't do very well outside, so we thought he might have been a rag doll. And then when I picked him up, it was a different body type. But anyway, my family kind of fell in love with him very quickly. So even though the plan was to foster, it was a complete fail. And so I have three cats now in a rather small apartment, five people, three cats, and a lot of chaos. But yeah, that's my family. But thank you for turning that question around to me. But yeah, it's so amazing, and I think and I love the fact that we're speaking to you all the way from your home, all the way in Thailand. If there's any last words you'd like to leave with our viewers in terms of compassion or what we really need for these difficult times.
well, I'll probably want to leave like both for the audience here who are
Mhm.
watching, and also hopefully this will spread out to like a wider audience to know.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that for me, kind of like with pets and animals, when I started to educate myself by like getting books and everything, was I was a bit intimidated because it's like I would be intimidated of foundations, I'd be intimidated people who knew everything about how to care for a pet.
Yeah.
And I think what I would leave is like for people who want to kind of take that step and they have compassion, but just to not be intimidated and kind of take their own sort of like pacing in learning how to want to bring a life into their home. I That's what I would share from my own personal experience, because you don't need to be an expert, you don't need to be intimidated by any one of us have who are here,
Yes.
because like for myself, it took like a lot of like trials and errors. I didn't do everything perfectly. It's just that one of the things I would want to stress is just make sure that you have that whatever you do, bringing a pet or a life into your home, is for the long run.
Yes.
It's for the long term. That's like the only thing I would say you must know, because it's like, but along the way, trials and errors, you're gonna learn. You might not get it right. That's fine. That's just like humans.
Yeah. It's like
So
when you get in a relationship, right? It's the exact
yeah,
same way.
Yes.
But just to add on to what you just mentioned, which is something that I think if anyone is looking to have a pet, it's very important to know that you do have a community around that is going to help you. I think one thing is that we always are afraid to ask questions. So I think, like for example, when you just mentioned like you're just an average Joe, you kind of like you are not really active, but you do support the idea of adoption. I don't think it's just simply that. I think at the end of the day, it's more of focusing to make sure that anyone can actually play a part simply by just supporting the idea of adoption. And just whenever your friend just come up to you and is like, I'm thinking of having a pet, and naturally you just go into action. It's like, oh, actually I do have a pet. If you need any help, I'll always be around to help you. So I think that is one of the most important part in the community, not just rescuing or rehoming, but the fact about making sure that we ourselves help a friend of ours that is going to have a pet. I think all of us, we all have friends who have pets or in the future would have pets. So I think if we're continuously there to show that, if you need help, I'm here. At least I have a pet. I know that I can guide you through it. Probably not in the same way, but you are not alone. So I think just setting out a community is very, very important. Yeah.
We do have a question coming out from a viewer for you.
sure.
Have you ever faced a situation where there was someone in your life who was not supportive of you having pets in your life, and how did
Yes.
you deal with that?
Yes, my mom.
Oh,
My mom is not a pet person, so
right.
it's been well, I think like overall the family, because like um mom's probably more strict than dad, but
Right.
they were never used to having a pet inside the house. Like,
Mm.
growing up, it's like animals were attributed to not being clean,
Yes.
so they need to be outside the house.
Yes.
That changed after bringing like Aiko into the mix, and it helps because I'm an adult now, so it's like it's in my space, my home,
Yes.
so it's something they need to adapt to. But apparently it's like it was easy for them to ease into it because I've had Aiko since Singapore, and when
Yeah.
she moved over, it's like she's um like I said, she has this cat-like qualities. She's in her own corner.
Right.
She's not very needy. So
Yeah.
it took them some time. It took mom longer than dad.
Right.
But eventually now, like she's used to Aiko. So yes, to answer whoever asked me that, I faced that I faced that challenge already.
Okay. And what I mean, yeah, so you said that the fact that Aiko is pretty sort of in some ways low maintenance because
Yes.
she's quiet and yeah, not so demanding. But do you think that she's managed to sort of win your mom over? Like, will your mom
I
now?
think so, because like I see like, well, obviously now, yes, because she's been in Thailand for a couple years. So when I
Yeah.
see my mom, like I mean, mom feeds her and she talks to her at times, maybe not to the
Okay.
point that I do or my dad, but I can see that she's adapted herself.
Yes.
I mean, I think a lot of her pre-existing understanding of animals have changed because of Aiko. So I think
Mm.
everyone just needs to have their own like kind of time, their own timing to
Yeah.
these things. And just to add on to Melody, I think another thing I would want to say to our audience, or like the wider audience out there, is you don't need to adopt or foster. If you just have compassion to help out, it's very
Mm.
important too, because I think
Yes.
with what we're going through during this COVID situation,
Yeah.
a lot of organizations, foundations are suffering,
Mm.
and what we can do is donate in within the means that we can.
Yes.
I think within the means that individually you can helps a
Yeah.
lot too,
Yeah.
because you have people on ground, you have the volunteers, you have the organizations, but
Mm.
every little help, every mean,
Every little help
Yes.
counts.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you. And on that note, that's a lovely reminder to all of our viewers to please check out our sponsors and the great deals that they're offering, which will contribute to the fundraising efforts of Project Adopt Live. And that is, of course, to benefit all the animal welfare groups and shelters that we've partnered with for this campaign. So Melody, our big boss lady who kind of put all of this together, unfortunately, the time has actually come for us to bring this lovely time to a close. So Melody, closes out. Any final words?
Any final words? I don't always have final words. I kind of like talk too much, so it's a little bit
No, you
difficult for me.
don't.
But I would say that like if we have to say we have to give something for right now is more of like with the pandemic, we see that there's a lot of changes right now.
Yeah.
And like earlier on you mentioned, it's a new norm for certain things like
Yeah.
staying home and how we are coping with everything. But with all this in mind, we are also looking to reopen our countries. I think Thailand is also have been slowly reopening. Singapore is also slowly reopening. I think we also need to still take into precaution that it's not over. It can come back if we are not too careful with it. And, we don't want to be in that scenario because not just for us humans that will be suffering, the animals as well, because you won't be able to get the essential services such as grooming or their food or all this.
But
So
also
I think sorry.
I just wanted to tie in what you were saying with what At said, because he was saying that like even if you don't feel that at this point you can adopt or foster, there are other ways that you can help. And I must say, I'm personally very grateful to you, Melody, because it's because of this thing that you've put together. I mean, I'm one of these volunteers, and you've given me this way to still feel useful and like I was contributing. Because I'm a freelance practitioner myself, and there was a period of time when absolutely all my work had ground to a halt, and being able to be part of this really helped me feel like I was still doing something meaningful. So personally, I'm so grateful to you, and I think you are doing exactly what Ut was saying. Even if we can't do all these big impressive things, every little bit counts, and you're such an amazing example of that.
Thank you. That totally caught me off guard.
Well, I just wanted you to know, and I'm not the only one who knows that. So, all right, I think the time has come for us to say goodbye. Thank you so much.
If we don't say goodbye, we could be on here for the next couple hours.
Sure, we could do that. But in the meantime, we'll just let our viewers kind of get on with their day. And so I just want to tell everyone, please be sure to join us next Sunday, the same time, same place, for our next episode where we'll be having yet another online adoption drive. More details to be released throughout the next week. And remember, adopt, don't shop, because every adoption saves 2 lives, not just the animal that you give a home to, like the beautiful Bravo that we saw earlier, but also the life of another animal that you're going to be making space for in the shelter. So on that note, everyone, please stay safe, be well, and all the best. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
See you.